5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Dangerzone. I'm here with the bearded Lotus himself. Dude, welcome to the Dangerzone.
I am stoked to be on the show. I've followed your podcast for a while now, and it's great content, man. Keep it up.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Where can people find you online?
They can find me on Instagram, Bearded Lotus, and at beardedlotus.org.
Cool. Tell me a little bit about the Yoga Man.
The Yoga Man. Well, the Yoga Man is in all of us. We just need to find him. He's there. So yoga is one of those things that has I'd say a kind of a stigma upon it.
Yeah.
You know? And
like grown men don't cry or something like that.
like, dude, yoga's for pussies, bro.
Yeah.
I mean, who does yoga? And then they're like, I'm like, well, have you done it? And they're like, well, no. And I'm like, well, you should check out a class. And then they're like, dude, there's hot chicks, right? I'm like, that's the bonus. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, so maybe it's a little bit a bait for those guys in there. But, you know, I just found yoga kind of on my journey back. You know, like we had dabbled in a little bit of yoga, like, you know, doing PT and stuff like that, some stretches and things like that mostly. But you know, mostly we're just like we're gym rats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We want to freaking pound the iron. You know what I mean? And
Hell
just,
yeah, bro.
yeah, the iron, pound the iron, bro. You know, more protein. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The myoplex and rippets. You know what I mean? That's what it was all about. You know, but you know, when you kind of get injured and you just get beat up, and I was like, man, I can't really lift those weights like that, you know? So I found yoga. I knew some other military guys that were like dabbling into it, and I'd actually heard about it at a vet center locally where I live. And I was like, yeah, it's free. Just check it out. You know what I mean? And went to one of the classes, and there's like some master sergeant teaching, like some soft guy. And I was like, whoa, this is kind of different. You know what I mean? He's like, get in line, you know, like, I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, this is cool. I can kind of like dig this. I'm kind of used to this. You know what I mean? So anyways, do the organization Connected Warriors, which is free yoga for vets worldwide now. You can find it. Just, you know, type it in, connectedwarriors.org. Free yoga for vets, family, active military, whatever. So they even have it in the war zone now. Amazing. At Bagram.
Wild.
Who would ever think,
Yeah.
you know? Yoga in the war zone.
They're actually getting yoga studios put in airports as well.
Yeah, I was in
Like-
San Francisco, you know, and I was just running through the airport there, and it was like all of a sudden I saw yoga room. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Yoga room? I peeped my head in there. It was like one little like slot, you know, pretty cool, like some pillows and stuff there. And there was like one dude like sitting there meditating. I was like, oh, better shut the door.
Yeah.
But I thought it was cool anyways.
Dude, so I do yoga when I'm traveling all the time, like especially flying. So you're sitting there for hours, like in a plane, right?
So cramped
And
up.
then you wait for your next flight and you go and sit down some more.
Loosen up the boot laces.
No,
your
dude.
legs are going to get swollen, bro.
I'm doing yoga right there
Right.
in the airport, and people are looking at me. They're like, what is this dude doing? He's like really into this. You
Yeah.
know, like,
I was doing that recently too. Since I've done that, I was like, you know, doing some warrior poses and stuff, you know, just like with my backpack on and, you know, hat turned backwards, you know, and the sunglasses on. They're like, people are looking at you or whatever. But I was like, dude, I'm like stressing, bro. I don't like all these people running around me and shit. So I'm like, hey, strike a pose, you know?
yeah. Yeah, dude, I don't understand why I get the weird looks. It's like,
Yeah.
what? It's weird to loosen up before your next, you know, being packed into a sardine can to like fly, dude. You can't move at all in those things.
Exactly.
But
So tell me
yeah.
about we had this yoga practice today, and how did you feel about it? Like after the practice that we put together?
Well, the weird poses we went through and everything, it was like felt good to run through those. It was a good thing about yoga is you're getting kind of in tune with where your body's at. You're moving in position, your body's like not normally in, and so you're like, oh, there's tightness there. Like I wouldn't have known that. Like
Right.
maybe I'm like spending too much time sitting, all this stuff. It's a good way to clue into like things that are going in your body. That's when you start talking about the whole mind, body, spirit, right?
Right.
So I initially, like right off the bat when we started, I started being like, oh boy, like my hips, like from flying and doing all
Whatever.
this driving recently,
Yeah.
they're pretty tight, and I know where I'm starting to like get clued into that stuff. But our body's constantly sending us signals, and it's a lot of times we get in kind of like blockout mode. You're just like ignoring.
Blocking pain.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, oh, that's hurting, but not really.
Yeah,
I don't
and you
really
get
care
used
about
to
that.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was kind of that towards the beginning, and then it was getting back on the breathing, just like it was nice and relaxing, dude.
Yeah, the breathing's key. Like, okay, let's talk about the breathing for a minute. The breathing is like everything, like even when we were out there doing whatever we were doing, working on our breath, we didn't even know we were doing yoga or like shooting,
Yeah.
So like, you kind of like got to approach it like, we're almost like you want to be a ninja, you know what I mean? So you got to like learn all the things, you know what I mean? Like just not one thing. You got to learn them all.
Yeah.
So yoga is like one of those things where, oh, wow, I feel that injury. And you're like, okay, you recognize it, but you can breathe into it. And that's where the healing process comes in with the breath. So on another level with the breath, when you have anxiety, and people are pissing you off or whatever it happens to be, like, you just got to learn how to breathe, like take deep breaths, like really just just calm yourself down. And I find like if I take like 3 solid inhales and exhales, just 3, even when I'm getting ready to get in an argument or like somebody cut me off in traffic or you just want to throat punch some guy,
Yeah.
So you're just breathing and just, bring your heart rate down. So these are a lot of things that have helped me personally on my journey.
Dude,
and
me too.
And it's just what it works,
The breathing especially.
Yeah.
Like I clued into that very quickly. It was like I need to be able to bring myself down, like from, being
ramped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to that by doing breathing exercises. What led me to the breathing exercises was getting into yoga. So when I came back from my second deployment, I'd come back from my third. So I got wounded on my second, came back, deployed again.
Right.
And came back. I had already known that I was kind of getting disconnected from people.
Right.
And I'm a people person. So I wanted to find a way to, redial that in.
Yeah, get out of your shell,
Yeah. And so I had like thought about yoga and I was like, well, yeah, there are hot chicks there, but
bonus.
But
not a bad thing.
More importantly, it's a place where I can go meet with people and I don't have to talk with them if I don't want. Like, I just sit there and we're all doing the same thing together,
Exactly.
and just relaxing, and in a super relaxed environment.
So how did you find out? I mean, like, did you just like search it out yourself where you lived, or like,
I just like
it's just part of your own like process too, like coming back and like, dude, I need to figure it out.
I didn't think about like trying to find a yoga studio or anything crazy. I was just like, I thought like yoga, I do that at a gym. I'm
Yeah.
used to gym. Like
Yeah, I throw
move-
iron.
Yeah,
I look at butts and do yoga.
yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And so I went to 24-hour fitness. Like they have yoga classes there, and they're actually really good. Like out of all the yoga I've done, it was
Right.
actually they offered pretty decent. The yoga instructors were really good, and you'll find all different varying types of yogis and yoga teachers.
And different styles of it.
Yeah.
You know? But you have to find the one that kind of suits you.
Yeah,
But as part of my Bearded Lotus brand that promoting this yoga to mostly people with that has trauma based or injuries or just having a hard time with life. You know what I mean? So that's where the yoga is your own kind of separate journey. Once you step into that, it kind of starts to unfold like some things within yourself and your body. So it's a cool deal. I mean, you found it. I mean, like there's probably some other people have found it, and I like spreading the awareness about it because it's just so many things have happened. I mean, it's only been the past few years I've like got into this. So I got into it because I needed it. I was like found the Connected Warriors thing, and I was like, yeah, I'll go check out some other kind of yoga and all that. And then the guy that was teaching, the master sergeant, he's like, you should become an instructor. I was like, is that an order? No, cool guy. I was like, yeah, I've been really thinking about that. I think it'd be kind of good for me to like step into some sort of training program like outside the military. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So I researched and found local yoga school, signed up for it, and completed my course. It was like 4 months. Learned everything from like the history of yoga to all the different types of yoga, the yoga diets, the whole thing. It was great course. And then I finally got certified with the Connected Warriors, which is a trauma-based yoga program.
yeah,
Where, it's like they approach it in a whole different way. So I can remember like these classes, and you're like laying there and everyone's like zenned out and you're like looking around the room still. You're like, what the hell? It's like, I want to be like those people. So you just got to work on it. But this Connected Warriors thing is really good because they approach it differently. So you go in the studio and there's usually like these, like candles and like Buddhas and stuff. Yeah, kind of like this, but like candles and incense and stuff. And they say, no candlelight, flickering is like, it looks like a gunfight or something, you know what I mean? Or no incense, like you get some sort of like trigger, from it or whatever. So it's like clean environment, so I was like, you had to learn about that kind of stuff. You don't put your hands on people. It's more of like doing the yoga and teaching it yourself while you're doing the yoga than like some guy walking around the room or some person walking behind you, you know what I mean? So it's like the veteran gets nervous, you can't get into it, you know what I mean? So really cool program. Yeah. So I was just dove into it and I just really haven't looked back, and I'm just going to keep pushing forward and promoting it as much as I can. So, it's saving lives, it's just like, recently I just like, you don't know how this stuff impacts people, you know what I mean? Like doing service outside now that we're in the civilian world and all that, it's like you're doing good and then you think you're not really doing anything, like your show, and like somebody comes up to you and you're like, wow, kind of like the same thing. I'm teaching and then like some guy, military guy, comes in like right after the class and he's like, man, I'm having a hard time. I heard you're a vet and you're like with the Connected Warriors thing, and my professor at college, she told me about you and that she'd come down and talk to you. And I was like, oh, that's really cool, man. I'm like, well, yeah, sit down, let's talk, see what's up. And the kid, like a kid, but he's probably like late 20s. He was like, I could see it in his eyes, dude. He was just like, right there on the edge.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. I was like, wow, man, I didn't think it outreached that far. Like, actually, like, to go see this guy or whatever. But just talked to the vet and, just talked to him, do some basic stuff like, what are you doing? You drinking a lot? Yeah, of course. And, relationship problems, all that. And I said, you got to kind of rely back onto your military bearing a little bit.
Yeah.
Like stap yourself out of it a little bit, I said, stop the drinking. I said, just work on your diet. I said, what kind of diet do you have? He's like, oh, I eat whatever. Like, whoa, okay. I said, well, how about you drink? He was like, oh, just tap water. And I'm like, no, dude, listen, it's a couple simple things. First of all, don't drink tap water, get filtered water.
Mm-hmm.
That shit in tap water, whew, make anybody fucking sick, crazy, whatever, all the different stuff in the water. And then the food part, putting good organic food, free range meat, like good stuff in your body to promote healing. And then I was like, you got to learn how to breathe. I mean, he was like, I could see he was kind of like, tapping his leg and like just kind of like, like kind of hyper, like hyper, I've been there. I've been hyper like that. I still get hyper like that sometimes, but got to do the breathing. So I was like, dude, just do some simple things. Just take a couple of deep breaths.
Yeah.
That's it. And I go, you're doing yoga. There you are. Huh. You're standing there breathing, doing yoga. Awesome. Kid hasn't come back. It was a few weeks ago, but maybe he will, maybe he won't. But, maybe he'll search it out more wherever he is or whatever they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So that's the awareness part. The 22 a day, all that kind of stuff. There's options out there. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to. I was going to the bars and doing all that in the beginning too.
Yeah.
You talk about of course you're going to be suicidal. Of course you're going to especially if you're taking meds the VA gives you, and then you're going out getting all fucked up on whatever drinking. That's disaster. That's like a ticking time bomb, like ready to go off. You know what I mean? And
yeah, dude. I mean, it's with the myriad of drugs guys are getting from the VA, like you mentioned, their brain chemistry just gets all jacked up, and then you add alcohol on top of that. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
The breathing that I started learning and very early on,
Mm-hmm.
I was focusing on doing very diaphragmatic breathing, really engaging
Deep
my
breathe, yeah.
diaphragm and think
Mm-hmm.
about it, like becoming more aware of your breath. And when I do things, I do them all out. So like,
Yeah.
I was like,
It's all in or no go.
If I'm in yoga, I'm not in there to be shy and just like, okay, I kind of doing this or whatever.
Right.
No, I was gonna get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like really focusing on my breathing during all of it, like in and out as I'm, moving into the positions, and just really long breaths in and out, and, trying to stay like in a wave, So that transferred over to so many different things. And it's really like, it's beneficial in so many different aspects of our life. So, yoga is just a cool tool to like maybe fast forward your experience and, breathing. 'Cause you even have the yoga instructor like talking about when to take breaths in and out, you know what I mean? So I think it's a cool for people who don't know how to like practice, like just start out,
Exactly.
doing breathing exercises. They can, yoga is a good way to get introduced to that. And then when I started meditating, like when all the drugs these neurologists are giving out for brain concussions, which they shouldn't be giving at all, it's killing people.
Right.
It's I had to find something that worked.
Yeah, exactly. Because the pills are like making things worse.
Yeah, and before I found out about CBD, like there was a time there that I was like, I'm not taking these the prescription drugs anymore. They're
Right.
not doing anything. They make me feel like shit when I take them. Is that like the point of a something you're taking for healing? Like that it makes you feel worse?
Yeah, I don't get it myself.
Yeah, and so
So how did you discover the CBDs? I just recently got introduced to those also.
well, before that, I had to learn how to meditate.
Right.
Like
That's where the breath comes in.
yeah. And so the breath that I learned from yoga helped me get into meditation.
Right.
Like be able to kind of fully pour myself into that as well. And so when I get a migraine seizure, like I would, instead of me just being laid out in my bed,
Right.
I would go in my back room kind of like this, right? Or just like looking out in the lawn and sit there and meditate. And just the act of doing that and like breathing, so I'm getting good oxygen flow to my brain as much
Right.
as possible. I'm starting to relax,
Sure.
even though there's this pain going on, I'm able to do something during it. It's not as controlling now, right?
Right. You're controlling it instead of it controlling you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I think us as especially brain concussion guys and everything and girls, but we're trying to it's that feeling of pain and everything that feels out of your control, like this monkey on your back, right? Like,
Right. Like I'm gonna go hide from it. You know what I mean? Instead of like facing it like head on. So like the CBDs, the cannabis, big advocate of that.
Yeah.
It's been a huge game changer for me. Was introduced to like CBDs when I was on California. And, so things are available there.
And you took a course, right?
Not really a course, but I have a group of friends out in Santa Cruz area and Northern California that were helping some vets and teaching them how to grow cannabis and how to process and make your own medicine.
Yeah.
So,
dude, that's huge.
That's I mean, come on. I mean, it's like, man, I went from like 15 pills down to like 2.
Yeah.
I mean, like, come on. It's like, and I felt like a new person again.
Yeah.
Like started feeling creative. Like, wow, I haven't had that in a long time.
Yeah.
And it's real interesting, like for the cannabis thing. So, since we're on the cannabis subject, going to the VA, like go to post deployment and doctors issuing your pills and you got to go and take a urinalysis and blood tests and all that. And they're like, excuse me, but you're coming up popping positive on your urinalysis with THC. I was like, yeah, it's my alternative medicine. I got my my medicinal card. I reside in California, but I have my medical stuff here. So I'm seeking alternative holistic medicine in exchange of doing all the pharmaceuticals that are harming my body. And at first, they kind of were like frowning upon it, but now recently, like they're taking surveys on it, like what are you smoking, how much you eat, and whatever that, and like is it working for you? So it's a real interesting thing that's going on, and I just really hope they make it available for us.
Yeah, it's to the point now where it might have been fine back in the period where we didn't have access to information. But the cat's out the bag.
I mean, come on. Schedule 1,
seriously?
Really? Wow.
And you own the patent to it?
Yeah, it's like Schedule 1. Okay, let's talk about that. Schedule 1. It has no medicinal value. Right? So, but the federal government bought the patent on cannabis saying it has medicinal value. I mean, come on. Do you think we're like something's seriously wrong with us that we're like we can't like read a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Hello, there it is.
And it's the fact that we just put it up for into a bill was introduced to Congress where let's give access to the medicine that is helping these veterans.
Right.
They need to have access to it. They've earned that.
Well, in D.C., it's recreational there. So how convenient. Like the politicians can go down to the dispensary and buy all the herb and edibles and everything they want.
The senators
but meanwhile, the veterans are screaming out there by the millions, like, give us our, cannabis, give us our medicine. And it doesn't make sense, none of it.
So you're probably listening to this and you're like, oh, man, but he's about to say it's a good thing they've like passed that, right? No, they didn't. They didn't even vote on it. They killed it in the Rules Committee.
And who's the Rules Committee? Let's like who like what is that? What branch of government is that? Is that like the executive branch of government?
Dude, it's part of Congress.
Right.
They have like all their little committees on the the ones that are the security advisors.
What do you mean, the pharmaceutical committees?
Yeah. And the guy who heads it up, he's a big congressman in Dallas, Texas. His name is Pete Sessions.
Sessions.
And I think his dad was like an FBI director or something at one point. Anyways, I may be wrong on that. He's the head of the Rules Committee in Congress. He's been there forever. He's been in Congress a really long time.
It's part of the swamp.
Dude, gotta go.
Wow. And so he's got to be connected to the pharmaceutical somehow.
Oh, it's funny you should ask that.
Has
because if you look at his Political Action Committee,
right,
which is a separate entity outside of the voters, right? That
a Political Action Committee,
that can collect donations on behalf of the candidate. It doesn't go technically to the candidate, right?
Right.
And like if I was to donate to somebody's campaign, right, I have a limit. So you don't have like some basically money influencing politics.
Right. Like there's supposed to be limitation of donations.
Right. So a rich person can only donate the max amount as anybody else. Well, so, rich people or, people with money or interests basically started saying, well, we still want to influence on our politicians. So we came up with political action committees, and they don't have these limitations. They can raise millions upon millions of dollars.
Wow.
And it goes to support through ads and everything for that candidate. So
sounds spooky.
If you want to get reelected, you take a political action committee's money, right?
Right.
Because you want to win.
Right.
But for them to give you that millions and millions of dollars, there's a price tag attached, right?
Sure. You got to approve their legislation and,
So, long story short, Pete Sessions' Political Action Committee is made up of a bunch of pharmaceutical interests.
Wow.
And it's crazy that
stinky swamp.
That, the right for veterans to get
access
the drugs that aren't pharmaceutical companies
or
being
addictive,
able to grow it for yourself. The law that was going to break us away from this stranglehold of drugs that have been fucking killing veterans.
Oh yeah. That's the real killer, really.
Yes. Got killed in the Rules Committee that is headed up by Pete Sessions, who has pharmaceutical companies supporting the majority of his political action campaign. So it's when are now I'm all riled up.
Settle down, go to your breath.
Yeah.
Deep breath, breathe out.
Works immediately. Dude,
getting all worked up. I mean, come on.
Dude, you just saw it right there.
I mean, it was just amazing. I saw just immediately calm down. It was cool.
So yeah, anyways, I just,
And that was recently, right? Wasn't that
yeah,
like a
that was-
month ago or something
yeah,
like that?
Yeah.
And,
So
so what about the internal study going on within the VA? Within VA, regional VAs.
which one? The one
All
about,
over.
yeah, where they're recording whether or not you have guns at home,
No,
or the.
well, that's a whole different subject.
I know,
so.
but they're studying. I think I'm not tracking it as much
Right.
as you are. Where they're at, they've asked you a bunch of questions about
Oh yeah, they always
cannabis use.
Yeah,
and
so
stuff.
now they're like, they're kind of like, oh, it's working for you. And like before, they were like, oh, we're not giving you your meds because you pop positive on your urinalysis.
Yeah,
So it's some things are going on, and from what the chatter is that there's surveys going on within the VA of recent vets and vets in general using cannabis.
yeah,
So anyway, so about that gun thing with the cannabis, that's kind of like creepy and scary, and like, wow, what a violation of our constitutional rights. Like,
yeah,
next level.
yeah. Like invasion of privacy, dude. Like, it's if a guy's gonna, and I use the term guy a lot because I just think of I worked with men and everything, but I'm really talking about everybody.
Sure, exactly.
Any time in the future that I say guys or something along those lines, think of it contextually because I'm probably talking about a general group of people.
Right.
Anyways,
you're so sexist. Oh. Here's your sensitivity chit.
yeah. What was I gonna say?
We were talking about the whole VA thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought.
That's all right. It's okay.
Yeah.
It happens. Well, the whole thing is that it's another thing of awareness about the cannabis use.
Yeah.
For veterans and having access to it.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how they're starting to talk of legislation of if you have weapons
Yeah.
and have cannabis, that they would come and take all your weapons.
Yeah.
And, that's a direct violation. So if they're going to go down that road, so let's say probably 70% of the U.S. population is on antidepressants. So that's actually a psychological mental drug.
Yeah.
So I guess they'd have to disarm most of America.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what this is real.
Yeah. What's crazy about that is just that veterans are looked at as one of those groups to like, it's a pretty, I would say, one ahead of the curve that they're like, that's the next, we are actively trying to get our gun rights taken from us.
Yeah. It's like every day.
I've seen stuff that came out during the mental health care bill that everybody was praising during Obama's administration. The wording in that stuff is scary, dude.
Kind of vague.
Any
It's like vague.
any healthcare provider, not even a mental health care provider, can be like, yeah,
A social worker or whatever.
this asshole was talking about having his guns at his house and he hunts, and I don't agree with that. So, I'm reporting you, and there's going to be cops coming forcefully, like, but except they don't tell you. Cops would just come up to your house.
Just random.
So any medical provider, some nurse practitioner who just doesn't like you or doesn't like agree with your beliefs.
That's just straight whacked. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? That's just straight whacked.
Yeah.
Like, God, they better approach with caution. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And like, where's all that data going? The VA. The first thing I do when I sit down and they go, so do you have any guns in your home? It's like, that's none of your fucking business.
right.
First of all,
It's like,
I'm in a medical appointment where you're supposed to be helping me out.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with my medical at all.
Yeah.
Talking about guns.
I'm here talking to you about like, why I can't take dumps right or something, like what?
That's just so weird. Like, isn't it
Where's all that
strange?
data going?
Yeah.
Like what? That's obviously somebody determined that needed to be on the list of data collected you in the medical appointment that's supposed to help you, right?
Yeah.
We're supposed to find out whether you have guns in your house or not.
Yeah. It's
Not like even like, hey, have you been playing, sleeping with guns with like the barrel in your mouth or something?
Yeah.
Like,
You got one under your pillow still?
Yeah.
No,
No,
on
not,
hot.
not even that, just in your house.
Yeah.
Like, why?
I don't know. It's almost kind of like it reminds me of like Gestapo. How many weapons do you have in the household?
Yeah.
You will see the medical provider.
Yeah.
You know, like, whoa, dude, where are we stepping into? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Dude, and every time they ask,
Wolverine. You know what I mean?
yeah. Of course, I'm like, yeah, no. Like, none of your business, dude.
Negative Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's wild, man.
I mean, why would they ask a question like that in a medical facility?
Yeah.
Like, it's just.
And to veterans, like, dude, what? You think I got, grew up hunting all my life? Like, a lot of people were
Can you
raised
imagine
in,
like some guy just not with his like wits and says, yeah, I got all this, I got that and all this. And they're like, whoa.
Yeah.
Put him on the list.
Yeah.
Or whatever, if they have a list or whatever.
Like, a love of shooting is one of the reasons I wanted to go into special operations, right? Because I knew I was going to be able to shoot a lot in the military. I was going to be able to drive off-road vehicles. I was going to be able to jump from airplanes, all this stuff. Like, shooting is one of those things.
That's what you signed up for.
Then you go to war and you get to shoot a lot if you're in combat. But, like, it's fun.
I love going to the range now. I just think it's like therapy.
You would think as like a returning military service member, everybody should be like, yeah, fuck yeah, they should have guns. But yeah, we're like a major target to have our guns taken away.
And then you have this, okay? Then you have these inside terror attacks within the U.S., right?
Yeah.
And like majority of them were stopped by veterans who had carry.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, we need less.
God bless
So
them.
they're basically saying we need less, veteran heroes out there on the streets.
Right.
Like, let's let more people
Let
die.
them be more vulnerable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just.
It's crazy,
It's
dude.
like, come on. It's like, whose plan was this? You know what I mean? Like, what is this all about? Is that like part of the Maoist plan to like de-weaponize the population and take your history down?
Yeah.
That's Maoist like 101.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Erase the history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your guns.
Yeah.
And then they implement something else.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable.
And people get so weird about it. It's like, well, why do you need guns and all this stuff? Blah, blah, blah. It's like,
go shoot my meat. Like,
Yeah.
Go get me some good wild venison or some hog or
yeah.
turkey, whatever.
Actually go walk out where my food has been, see
Yeah.
what it's eating. Like,
It's not radiated.
yeah, be in touch with it.
Yeah.
Like, actually have some concept of the sacrifice these animals are giving to you
Yeah, exactly.
by giving up their bodies to feed millions of people.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful process in life.
It's a connection to like the
Yeah.
human animal earth connection, that spiritual connection when you go on a hunt. And
Yeah.
like, that's the cool part. That's what makes us human,
Yeah. But the first people to, talk shit on you for, I guess, having a gun don't have that connection to like where, and I'm generalizing, not everybody.
They're just probably
like,
scared of them, probably never
yeah.
even shot one or,
Yeah.
Whatever,
But they go to the grocery store and buy, huge packages of hamburger meat and whatever, and they have no idea how that got there, or what that cattle's life was like.
Right. What if they
leading up to
showed like
that,
videos like in the meat area of
Yeah.
like the slaughtering process,
Yeah.
like
or the black hole of the eye leaving and filling up with like
Right.
gray, and you just see the animal's soul leave
Life go
itself,
out,
like
yeah.
life. Yeah,
yeah. So
they should play that like right.
people will be like, oh my god, not getting my meat
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So yeah, the hunting thing is cool, man. I enjoyed a couple of your podcasts you had of your hunts.
yeah.
So you've been stacking meat lately.
Yeah, dude. I just really want to be in touch with that whole process,
Yeah.
and I want to know where my food comes from.
Right.
And I've had the chance of being out on some cattle ranches and stuff, dude.
Right.
And just like I've been traveling a lot with the podcast, everything, doing a lot of driving across the country.
Sure.
I think we're on our way to a food crisis, dude.
Really?
I think
Like a meat or just an overall crisis, like grain?
I think we're on our way to a crisis, and I'm not something like Armageddon.
Conspiracy theory.
Yeah, it's. I'm just saying there's a lot of things happening right now in the world.
Sure.
That if you put them all together, you know something's about to change. We're also about to go through huge technology disruption when the whole
the scenario, the EMP scenario
in transportation, like automated cars and like the increase of robotics and all this stuff and supercomputers is going to cause a huge shift in the way us humans live life on this earth.
Yeah.
And alongside that, you have the current conflict situation. We are not in a time of peace right now. Our military is fully engaged in Syria,
turned up right
Iraq,
now.
Southeast Asia,
Syria,
South America, everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. Philippines.
And we're probably about to be in North Korea.
Yeah, that little rocket man.
Yeah. So
gosh, just can't we get along? I mean, but
so
it's unbelievable.
As much as I don't want anything like a crisis for the United States to happen, there's a lot of things happening that
can make things go south real quick.
Make things go south real quick.
Yeah.
And whether that's, an EMP or whatever, like, or just a scare, like people, run out because of some shortage, like, all I'm saying is there's becoming less and less farmers, and
there's like a farming
ranchers.
Crisis. Like there's like not enough farmers. That's why they came up with this genetically modified stuff so they could produce more.
And again, as technology increases, you need less people that understand agriculture to do the job because it's all automated, right?
Right.
Well, we're going to continue to become more distance from like where our food comes from. It's only going to get worse, like, unless you start taking the steps to learning how to grow food yourself. And you got to think that if you're completely, out of that picture, there's other people who can make the decisions about the food, right?
For you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you're getting, And so I could see attacks happening if we go into North Korea and we're fully engaged.
Oh, yeah, war attacks?
I think there's going to be attacks. Let's say we do take a nuke. That could cause an EMP type situation.
Yeah, that's the big one. They said that the EMP thing. There's a cool thing on National Geographic on their YouTube channel called Blackout.
Yeah,
it's goes through an EMP scenario, and most people that are outside the military, if you talk about an EMP, they're like, "What?
Yeah,
what is that?" They're just completely clueless.
Yeah,
and that's scary because everything shuts down. So
electromagnetic pulse or something. Yeah.
And so the thing about it is like that's part of kind of like my brand. I grow a lot of my own food.
Yeah.
Because I like organic food, and it's kind of expensive, organic food. I like growing it. It's kind of a therapy in itself. You know what you're eating. And a lot of people have gotten away from that. It's like go out and hunt your meat. Grow your own food and grow your own medicine.
Yeah.
And learn how to, like self-sustain.
Yeah.
Because, that's who's going to survive.
Yeah. I guess that's what it comes down to. Like, do you want to like not be able to provide for your family if there is some type of crisis?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I guess without, and there's. You
remember going to SEER school? Remember SEER school?
Yeah.
Where you had to like live off the land, like that's it.
Eating ants and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, we were eating like the little ants and termites, and found a turtle and ate that fucker, and then had the rabbit. And they get the rabbit,
Yeah.
But people don't even know like basic survival stuff.
Yeah.
No, I mean?
it's balanced too. I mean, you don't have to go full prepper mode or like.
No, this dude who basic stuff.
This dude who just got arrested in, I think it's Oregon or something. Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear about that. What was that about?
Some wildfires exposed his like bomb shelter he had built over like he's like in his 80s, so he's like built this over his like later
He was ready
life.
for Armageddon his whole life.
Dude, he had like explosives in there and like all kinds of guns, and they arrested him for it, dude, for this old dude like being prepared like for the apocalypse.
That poor bastard got his shit burned down and they took his stuff.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
that
like
sucks.
But it was just kind of wild, like they're just talking about all the stuff he had in there. So it's balanced, dude. You don't have to go build a bunker in the side of the mountain necessarily.
Exactly.
But like when things like the Las Vegas shooting happen, or the Boston bombing, you know, or you're driving down the road and somebody flips over in front of you because they're distracted on their phone and their arm goes flying out the window.
Yeah, that's why I like my little EDC kit.
Yeah.
I just have a little pistol,
Yeah.
my knife, a flashlight, and a tourniquet.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Have it right next in the car, ready, right
and
there.
you can bleed out in 90 seconds. But
So
so many
fast.
people, they would be sitting there with somebody's arm, you know, holding them, and they're just bleeding out. And guess what? They don't know what to do.
They're just like
They don't
freezing up, you know.
Call 911 and wait for them to
dead
get there.
by the time they get
No,
there.
they're dead. Sorry, you let that person die just because you don't know the basic tourniquet. It hasn't changed.
Isn't it
how
amazing
it works.
how many lives it saved in
Dude,
country? Just
think
unbelievable.
of human history.
Yeah.
The tourniquet, the idea of the tourniquet has been a really long time. Somebody figured it out when they had a stick and a piece of cloth.
Right.
Like, oh, if we do this,
Twist it.
like blood stops. Oh,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it's been around forever, and we've perfected like, the process and like making it into one unit. You know, now like the tourniquets we used in Iraq and Afghanistan. But
yeah. That's
it's-
amazing. I have one of them in the car right
Yeah.
there. I mean, they're just amazing, you know, like it's just like statistically, I read something that like how many lives were saved with like the tourniquet.
Yeah.
It was just unbelievable. It's just like guys were even like tied off on 4 extremities and like for like 8 hours and still lived, you know, like.
I guess that's what. So coming back to it, I can see where some people would be like, well, I just don't want to be that person that does like, has that like, I guess next level feeling of responsibility for each other as humans.
Right.
Like I feel the responsibility to at least know how to try and save somebody when I come across them. Right.
Sure.
And I think a bare minimum of that is like kind of like understanding maybe CPR. Like I say, that's kind of like a next step. But tourniquet, like being able to stop somebody from bleeding out,
Right.
to me is such like a base skill that anybody who wants to take care of their fellow human should know how to do.
Right. Absolutely.
Like a public education.
Yeah, they should
thing,
teach it in school,
you know?
like
Yeah.
a part of like in high school or whatever. Like have that part of like your curriculum of like a basic first aid, CPR, and tourniquet.
But I guess some people don't have. I guess they don't feel a responsibility to be able to step up for their fellow man, and I think this applies to like many different things.
Right.
You
like,
know?
oh, I don't want to get involved. I don't
Yeah.
want to get
Like,
sued.
oh, somebody else is gonna like take care of this situation. You know.
Right.
So I guess I don't identify with that. So I don't know what their thought process between like, but I imagine, I mean, I know a lot of people who care about people.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it's,
But that's
it's
where
so like,
that raider mentality comes in. You just want to jump right into it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's like just charge it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's a great way to embrace life. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
keep charging. You know?
yeah,
That's what I just keep telling myself every day. Just keep charging it, man.
yeah,
Just keep going. And it's so cool, like our community, you know, like being like, you know, meeting new people and just supporting each other, networking. And because, gosh, we're doing a lot of great things, man. A lot of the vets now
Yeah.
are doing some fantastic stuff out there. Like, man, we have people that are like politicians and all these great businesses, all these great retreats, of course, like podcasts. I mean, there's so many things going on. And I think that's just the inherent, our mentality of keeping forward and moving forward and creating and kind of like taking charge.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You got to take charge of your village.
yeah,
You have to, or it's going to get marauded by all these like weirdos.
Yeah, no,
You know what I mean? I'm
seriously,
getting
yeah.
back to the tribal stuff now,
Yeah.
like the old Viking mentality, you know, like, you know, it's like, yeah, protect the village,
Yeah.
you know.
Even while you're taught in the military, you're always looking for that better fighting position.
Oh,
Like,
always.
always improve your situation.
Always. Yeah. Find that best fighting position and just take them out. Job's done. Go home early.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this community is really cool. I'm just, you know, I want to see more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I kind of like it. You know, like I'm kind of new to the social media stuff, and I just love following like all the brothers out there that are like, you know, selling tactical gear, or you know, whether it's coffee or, you know, whatever
Yeah.
their trip is. There's like so much like, you know, charge behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just love seeing that entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
You know, like
I like seeing guys just going after something like 100%.
Oh,
just
yeah.
like
that's it.
full in.
Yep.
You know?
No retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, a lot of it too is, you know, just getting out, you know, getting out of your box, getting those creative juices flowing again. Because, you know, there is a lot of guys still like sitting in their houses
Yeah.
and just zoning out.
Just hitting the bottle and
Yeah. Just like,
whatever,
you know,
yeah.
just letting their demons take control.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of like just getting out of it. You know what I mean? Just step out of it, man. That's all I can say is just step out of it.
Dude, that's a
I
good,
mean, just
yeah.
go to yoga class. The chicks
Yeah.
are hot.
Yeah.
You'll drop in, learn how to breathe, and might spark something. It might not be anything you like, but at least get you out of the house.
The thing I've been saying over and over again, it's kind of like your step out of it, is I just say get weird with it.
Get weird with it.
And by that, it's not weird, dude. You're taking care of yourself.
Yeah. It's all about it's all about
yeah.
your journey. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And we can't be a good human unless we're like good to ourselves, you know?
Yeah. I realized that really quick when I started transitioning out of the military. I go, I need to really focus on healing myself as best as I can, right?
Sure.
Because I'm in a bad spot, like
Well, yeah.
really bad spot, and it's not going to get any better unless I do something, and I just need to try some stuff and like figure it out.
Did you feel like you were getting worse?
Yeah.
Like you figured like, oh yeah, at first you're like, man, I'm not fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, you're denial. You go through that denial stage.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm fucking good. I'll
Yeah,
do another.
I'm fine,
I'll do
you know?
another deployment.
Yeah, it just
Whatever.
yeah,
Like-
dude. I'm going on this deployment. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm you know, you're talking hey, make it happen, you
Yeah.
know? And then you get another hit or something, or you go through some more trauma,
Yeah.
and you come back and you're like
This sucks.
you're denial.
This
yeah,
sucks.
like
I
you
don't
know,
want to get out. Like
you're
blah,
like, oh, it's like, you know, it's like one of those things.
Yeah.
God, I miss it. I do.
Yeah.
I do. I miss it. I don't miss, being in some of those villages and austere environments and stuff. But God, it was really a fun job.
Well, dude, you were with the CBs. I don't even think we've talked about that
Yeah.
yet. But people don't know what the hell CBs are.
Yeah,
I
it's
do.
like John Wayne.
Yeah, I think CVs are awesome. And I think
Yeah.
it's a great community within the military that like more people should know about.
Yeah.
Like I'm surprised that like a lot of people don't.
So we're out there with you guys,
Yeah.
and you know, we're building up fortifications and you know, whatever, you know, front gate, like
And when-
gates, whatever
Yeah.
it is. You
And
know,
when he says you guys, I'm going to clarify here a little bit. The CBs came out and were working with the Navy SEALs, the Special Forces groups, the Marine Raiders over there, the Mark Stock guys. Like, you guys were building shit everywhere.
everywhere.
Yeah,
We did the
like,
convoys, and
when
we just like, you know, it's the old, you know, we build, we fight, you know, so
Yeah.
we're like the naval infantry.
Yeah. A lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah.
You guys get, it's basically like infantry school for
Yeah.
the Navy.
All our tactics are
Yeah.
Marine Corps based.
Actually everything I learned so much about infantry tactics while I was in high school in a program called Sea Cadets.
Right.
And I went to the CB training and I learned all about guns there. I learned all about like machine gun emplacements, how to set up defensive positions, and like
Right.
how to get everybody like angled in the right direction and everything,
Sure.
and like setting up claymores. Yeah, I learned how to set up claymores at a CB camp
Yeah,
down
it's
in
kind of like
Biloxi,
you don't hear a
Mississippi.
lot
Yeah.
about it. They kind of keep us on the hush hush, you know. But yeah, man, it was you know, I do miss it, you know. I miss those days, but we're moving forward now into like a
Yeah.
whole different zone, you know, moving forward into our lives and stuff. But we can take what we've learned and in the communities that we were involved with and network, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy, you know, because we did so much crazy stuff with alongside of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It just was amazing, and it's amazing like the way we work, you know, out in the villages is the joint task force type of community where we're all like embedded with, you know, you might have the SEALs, you might have, you know, ODA guys,
Some Army infantry.
Rangers,
Yeah.
MARSOC guys, and you know, it's just we did what we had to do out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, gosh, just try to make it a little comfortable, a little more fortified, and just let them have it.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like I just miss the brotherhood. I didn't really care about really much what
The
you know the
politics
politics
and
involved
yeah,
in that,
yeah.
but I really miss like being with the guys. You know, being
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what we trained to do our whole lives.
That's
you know?
it's like that SOF Mistress poem, man.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
No, I don't think I've ever heard that one.
I did a whole podcast on it. It's like there was an OSS officer who wrote it, and it's basically about special operations, but it applies to everything in life, dude. It applies to any type of like brotherhood or a feeling of belonging to something.
Right.
It's exactly what you're saying, and it's like it's just a period of our life, dude.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't define us completely.
No, it shouldn't define you. Actually,
it's something
Yeah.
that we will miss.
Yeah.
Like you basically can come to terms with the fact that you're going to miss it the rest of your life,
Oh yeah.
and
Absolutely.
that's just part of life, though.
Sure.
You're going to miss what you had with them, but you being with them made you a better person.
Sure. Exactly. It's all part of the
And,
human
yeah.
process.
And
For us, anyways.
but
But yeah, man, this journey's been, you know, kind of like a trial by error almost, you know, because it's not like you know, when you get out, they give you that like day or two where they're like, oh, here's all the VA stuff, blah, 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 blah. And you're nodding out, you know, in the auditorium.
Yeah.
You're getting processed. You're out, you know, and then it's just like you said, you had to find something else. You know what I mean? And it led you to yoga. It led you to different lifestyle like myself too. And it's one of those things where it's like it's not just like a workout.
Mm-hmm.
It's it more or less after you start doing it a while, it's kind of a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because it becomes like a routine after a while where you're like doing it every day. And you'll see improvements with your health and your flexibility and your aches and pains and stuff like that. And just general mental health with like the meditative part of it and the breathing. So yeah, man, that's the trip. You gotta seek it out.
Even Diamond Dallas Page, didn't he like start his own yoga?
I think
deal?
he did. Yeah, he did.
He's a pro wrestler. I remember him
Yeah.
back in the day, like picking up people and choke slamming them. You know,
like poof, body slam,
dude.
you know?
After one too many choke slams, your body has to just be
Yeah.
killing you.
Yeah.
And he's a ginormous, huge dude. And I think he started doing like yoga for wrestlers and shit.
Right. So check
But-
this out. Like we were talking about the TBI stuff.
Yeah.
Like the brain concussions or just concussions in general.
Yeah, and how it's grossly misunderstood,
yeah.
misdiagnosed.
So we both kind of suffer for that kind of thing. But yeah, I think some of that yoga is like maybe moving some stuff around, like your fluids and
dude,
like
yeah.
your ears.
We
and
were
stuff you're
talking about that. So
I was asking you about that place in Texas that has like a gyro where they put you
Yeah.
on it and recalibrate
the
your
Cerebrum
brain.
Center.
Yeah, the Cerebrum Center.
Yeah.
And about what you're saying, there's like the fluids in their ears.
Yeah. So in your inner ear, you have the cochlear apparatus, and inside that, there's these. If I'm holding my hand out in front of me and then like pointing it up, and so if I move my fingers, they're like little feelers, right? Little cilia. So there's this little apparatus that floats above it and like moves, and so it as the fluid and stuff is moving, and the weight distribution of the I can't remember what it is above the cilia. As it moves, it's sending signals to your directly to your brain,
Right.
and it's all added up and calculated where you are in relationship to everything around you, like in space, like whether you're standing up or upside down in your head. All that information is being calculated as you're moving around. And so what happens in a blast or a concussion is that shock wave that hits your eardrum is transferred through, goes into your inner ear, and it can dislodge these little like crystalline structures that are on top of that apparatus that's moving over your cilia. These little crystals get stuck down in between the cilia, and then you're getting a constant input of some type of movement.
Right.
That's not happening. So it turns out I was getting a constant input that I was falling forward and to the right.
Okay.
And yet I wasn't just like falling over,
Right.
but it's so subtle. My body was like,
Just the equilibrium we could feel was
like
off.
if you start to lean forward, you can catch
Yeah.
yourself, right? So I'm just getting this input and my body's compensating for it.
Right.
So I'm like constantly pulling back to like keep myself from falling forward, but I don't need to pull myself back. So you got to think about the muscle tension, that constant signal being put to my brain that I'm falling,
Right.
and the fatigue that can cause in the brain, right?
Right.
And then, so I would be talking with somebody, standing in conversation. I'm like waving all around, like, you know,
Kind of bobbing and weaving.
out of balance.
Yeah.
Because your vestibular has almost everything to do with your balance. You
So
know?
that gyro is like spins you around and like moves the fluid around within your ears in the brain.
Yeah, I'm not sure what specifically they're targeting with that. It was more, I think it has some of the retraining properties, but it also like another aspect of where you are in space and time is your vision. So
Right.
a lot of it was like fixing the tracking of your vision. They actually did this other maneuver that was called the barbecue roll, where they laid you on a table and moved you around, basically to like try and get that little crystal off the cilia and move through this, thick fluid or whatever, serous fluid. It's not like, some fluid would just like fall through. So you got to, and it's very small, so it's got to work its way out. So,
Sure.
So they would hold your head in different positions. And as I was telling you about this, you're like, dude, I wonder if holding yoga positions,
Right. And that's what
you
I was
got your
saying.
head down,
about
all this stuff. If it
inversions, there's a lot of inversions.
it corrects
in yoga.
this problem we're seeing from blast wave concussions and like concussions is that yoga may be inadvertently doing the same thing that they discovered at the Cerebrum Center.
Yeah.
With all their fancy equipment.
Yeah. And I believe in that too,
yeah.
because, a lot of vets that, come do yoga have TBIs.
Yeah.
And I think, but some of the inversion poses actually do some movement in there with the fluid. I mean, it sounds totally possible.
Yeah, because, just to, I guess, say what happened when they did fix this for me, I stopped getting this input, and my brain wasn't as fatigued. My symptoms did improve.
Your balance improves.
And my balance was on point.
Right.
And then you see how that affects your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I love being in outdoors. I love going on trails and everything.
Sure.
And I'd gone up to Montana, and that's when it really kicked in, is when you start getting to the eye tracking and everything.
Sure.
Is I was walking on this cliff trail. I'm not afraid of heights at all. Like, I'll go stand right up on the edge. At free fall school, I had no problem jumping out of a plane, like falling through the sky.
Right.
Like, I was like, yeah, even the first time, like, was not scared at all, you know? So all of a sudden I'm like on this cliff edge. I'm like, whoa. And I'm like grabbing onto the wall because I can't tell. It feels like I'm falling off.
Yeah. Your equilibrium is just messed up.
And so I was like, now what? I can't, it's not even safe for me to go
Like
along
hiking.
And that's something I love doing. Like, so then you start talking about how this is affecting your day-to-day life. It's like, I can deal with being out of balance, right? You think so. But then once you start talking about limiting the things you can do in life, that's where it becomes depressing. You know, it's like you feel like you're losing this party, right? So not only did my balance become significantly better, and that translates to like working out and all these great, you know, other things.
More outdoor
Yeah.
activities.
Yeah, but it was freeing me up to go back to doing these things I love to do that require that, I guess, that extra level of balance, you know?
And awareness.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, would you not like want that?
Exactly. And
yeah,
that's what I
like,
find
dude,
like with these yoga poses, the inversion poses, it's like when I first started doing it, I was like weeble wobble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was like, man, this sucks. You know? But then as I started doing it, the inversion and stuff, my balance got better.
Yeah. So
there's got to be some science behind that.
I would like to take what they've learned at the Cerebrum Center and maybe see if there's a way of we can incorporate the wonderful maneuver that they discovered into the yoga. Like we actually kind of like target it or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be wild.
Like basically like yoga session to correct inner ear, you know,
imbalance
stuff from concussions.
Yeah,
like hey, just do this yoga exercise and
do this every day, and it'll be back straight.
That'd be interesting. We got to follow up on that.
Yeah, it'd be real interesting. It's funny because I had some, you know, I've had some friends that have been out to that center and had recommended it.
Yeah.
But since I've been doing yoga, I've been like balance has been drastically improving.
Yeah.
So
they did some awesome things there. Yeah, especially with the balance. But I mean that was based on like people that all that equipment and stuff costs a lot of money.
Oh,
it costs a lot to go through that program as a civilian, and like, I mean, for us, the military, that you know, that's people that donate money for us to get these treatments, which is crazy too. I don't think a lot of American people get enough credit for taking care of us, you know, because
there's a lot of people out there so patriotic and like contribute so much.
There's a lot,
and they never get heard of or recognized.
There's a lot of people pissed off because they want their tax dollars that support the VA to go to actually helping us, right?
Right.
And they're seeing that fail. But then there's, I guess, the next level of people that aren't just pissed off about it, they do something about it. And they're like, you know what? We can't wait for the VA to get fixed to take care of these people. And there's so many people that donate money to take care of us, like us veterans, you know? And my heart goes out to those people, man, because they've really helped, whether it's like, you know, some of the recreational stuff I've done.
Right.
Like, I can't believe they pay for like hunts and like us to go do these things that we can't afford or like don't have access to.
And you know, I find like too, like it's all like our kind of our journey together, you know, like, so like, I don't even know about a lot of that information.
Yeah.
You know, there's some local stuff that I know about, but there's like stuff on a national level. That's where the networking comes in within the community.
Oh yeah. That's why you got to get
finding out about stuff, about people, you know, what's going on. And it's like, it seems like every day or every week I'm hearing about something new. I mean, there's just so much stuff out there to get.
The networking's huge, man. It's that's what I actually look for in nonprofits. Is like there's the ones that like provide a service. There's tons. There's 8,000 something that quote unquote provide services for veterans. A lot of them are bad.
Right.
A lot of them don't do anything. And then some of them they'll do like they'll provide a nice little trip. Like here's a camp or whatever. Like, you know, we're gonna go, I don't know, to this zoo or something and hang out with animals or whatever.
Go out fishing.
You go that, and then it's like over, and then they never talk to you again or whatever. Like, but networking, if you can add networking to a nonprofit, like the ability for them to come and still have something after whatever they learn there, you know, whether it's a business one or something, being able to plug people further into that community where they are, something like. Remember
we were talking about it'd be cool if we could have like a little conference or something like a veterans networking conference, you know,
about like everything that's positive going on for us that
almost like a TED Talks too, and they're like some talks in there, you know what I mean? That's what I find is people aren't talking enough.
Yeah.
They're scared to talk.
We got to stop taking in what is being put out to us by,
Yeah, just kill the TV.
Yeah.
Just kill it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just take it out and shoot it.
And just start talking to your
Yeah.
fellow man, people on your
Yeah.
level,
Yeah. It's like people
Yeah.
who are like your same kind, you just like, you just get involved with the community,
Yeah.
It's like what they said, go out and be active in your communities, become leaders and business owners and entrepreneurs. And yeah, you got to think about people from the last big war too, World War II. You know, they came out just like crushed it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Built all this like empires and stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to do.
Yeah. And we got to take care of each other.
Yeah. And the network, that's where it's really crucial, It's like every time I run into like a vet, like a cool vet, somebody you can hang out and talk to, you like learn something new. Like, wow, I never knew about that program.
Yeah.
Like, what was the name of that program?
Yeah.
It's like every time.
That's
it's
how
like,
I've found out about like everything I've had the pleasure of going to,
Right.
or the honor of going to. It was like the Warrior Sailing program I just finished.
Yeah.
Like,
So tell me about the Warrior Sailing program.
dude, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to learn how to sail all my life.
Right. Well, you are a sailor.
I know, that's funny. In the Navy 10 years, never was on a ship.
Right. Exactly.
I tell people that, they're like,
you're on the green side.
they question me. They're like, wait, I had one dude at the bar, this little like, he just became a rookie lawyer, or whatever or something.
Yeah.
And I was at this Mexican restaurant, I'm sitting there and I'm talking to him and he's like, for whatever reason, he like asked me, what I did or whatever. After I was talking to him about him being a lawyer and stuff, he said, so what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a retired veteran, whatever. So then he asked more questions. I was like, yeah, so I was in the Navy, but I was like never on a ship and my whole 10 years in or whatever. And he's like, no. He's like, you're lying. He like tried to like,
yeah, some people can't grasp that concept.
He proceeded to like try and out me as like a military faker.
Right. Oh my
and
God.
he's a civilian. He has like no
like,
clue what he's talking about.
Navy, what are you doing in the desert?
And I was like, yeah, dude, I was with the Marines. And he's like, oh no, I know you're lying now. Navy aren't never with the Marines.
It's only the Department of the Navy. Like, come on. And you're a lawyer. God,
Yeah,
what a
dude.
shitty lawyer.
Yeah. Don't use that guy.
Yeah, don't use it. What was his last name? No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, dude, it's
So the Warrior Sailing Program,
Yeah.
huh? So is that nationwide, or they got to go? Is that like the sailing school?
it's
There in
dude,
Tampa,
it's nationwide and the network. So, I wanted to learn sailing.
right?
I talked about the Kon-Tiki in
I love the
another
Kon-Tiki. Oh, yeah.
podcast. You know the story.
Oh
right?
yeah, it's great.
These Viking dudes, from World War II. They fought in World War II. One of them got out, went to school. He said he wanted to prove that South Americans,
Polynesians, the Polynesians
populated
sailed.
Polynesia, yeah.
Yeah,
And so he's going to sail across the Pacific on a wooden raft, and they did it. And it's a phenomenal story. Everybody should read it. I did a giveaway where I bought the book on Amazon, and you can set up a giveaway, and people had to watch my little video where I talk about it, and then they're automatically entered into a contest, and somebody got it. So I hope they enjoyed it.
awesome. The Kon-Tiki.
yeah.
What a great film too.
So this camp,
yeah,
dude,
so the Warrior Sailing Camp.
yeah. So they teach you the basics, and then they have an advanced course. They have follow-on stuff. They want to keep you involved. They kept on saying, like, you're part of the sailing family now. Like, we're going to get you connected. Like, as much as you want to get involved in this,
Right.
You can. And there's a whole network that they have access to.
Mm-hmm.
They're finding people, sailing club back in Iowa, in the middle of the country,
Right.
where
On a lake or
rad
whatever.
people meet up and sail on a lake,
Yeah, the river or whatever.
So that's what I like to see in a nonprofit. That's what I like seeing happening just in general, is people networking to take care of each other, right?
Yeah.
And like help each other out. And
Follow up.
Yeah, follow up.
Follow up. Yeah.
And it's not just this like one-time deal, like the Wounded Warrior Project giving me a shaving kit in Afghanistan, even though I was under relaxed grooming standards and didn't have to shave.
like,
So he basically
I
gave
like
me
my beard. I'm not
this
shaving it.
worthless like made in China like shaving kit.
Yeah,
I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Crazy.
But
That's a whole different subject. All that.
Yeah.
Wow. But it's just I just enjoy doing adventurous stuff because that's in our blood. We
Yeah.
want to cheap charging. Whether it's like hunting, sailing, surfing, and whatever. It's just like just a therapy.
It goes back to the get weird with it, dude.
Yeah.
I challenge people. It's like so much of the military was our life. Like we poured so much into that, and especially if it ends, your career ends earlier than you thought, or you just stayed out of retirement, finding the next thing.
Right.
Get weird with it, man. Try things you haven't done before. Try surfing. You never know what you're gonna like, and there's so many of these programs. That's why we need to tell each other about them, right?
Sure.
Like there's people that have never sailed before, and they're like, okay, they get told about this camp, and like that sounds kind of interesting. If you have like a little bit of interest in doing something, you should just do it. Like,
Yeah. Don't hesitate.
Because chances
Just
are
jump
you're
into
gonna
it.
love it. The sailing, the thing I loved about it is you're like constantly have to tinker with the stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's like a.
So it keeps your mind off shit.
It's
You're just
like-
constantly
yeah.
going. That's like kind of like surfing.
It's like a huge.
You're just like only thing you're focused on is
Yep.
just paddling and getting in tune with the wave and the speed and catching the wave and all that. The whole
Oh, dude.
Zen-like thing.
Yep.
You're like getting the flow and you're riding the wave. You're not thinking about anything else
Yeah.
because you can't, or you're gonna get swamped.
Yeah.
You know what I
So
mean?
yeah, get out of the house. Go do these things. Like get involved with anything that you have vague interest in. Get weird with it. Even if you're like, man, I don't know. I don't know what people would think about me getting into yoga because that's like what losers do, right?
Right.
No, if you're interested, if you think something's gonna help you, heal you, like bring you healing. I went and saw a shamanist lady.
Right.
Did a guided meditation. It was awesome. Like I don't care who you are. Like
Yeah, whatever works.
whatever
man.
works for you, man.
Yeah, just
Find
get
it.
off the pills and the alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Find people that are pushing you in a positive direction and want to hook you up with other people who are going to continue to like push you to be the best version of yourself, less painful version of yourself,
Right. And then by healing yourself, you're not as in much pain, so you're not as miserable and you're not as like as an asshole as you are when you're like miserable.
Yeah.
So it's just part of the whole transition. You know what I mean? It's like we don't have a real good transitional program within the military.
No. I mean,
It's just
they
almost
say
non-existent.
they say they do all this stuff, and basically what they say is like, here's how you write a resume and get a job.
Yeah.
Dude, people need to figure out need to be shown better ways of finding themselves again.
Right.
That's what they need. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's nice to have a job, and that should be congruent with it.
Right.
We should put more money into like incentives to make your military career mean something more in the public.
Yeah. Exactly.
But the problem is a lot of businesses, I mean, we talk so bad about veterans and focus so much on the negatives.
Oh yeah, there's actually discrimination against them.
Yeah.
now. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, he's a war vet. We don't want him around.
Dude, even with all this stuff that's
Yeah.
coming out about how dirty the congressmen and women are, like sexual harassing all each
yeah.
other and everything,
Those creeps.
in that is veteran discrimination hiring processes. They don't want veterans because we know we call them out on their bullshit. That's what
exactly.
it is.
Just straight up call them out.
Yeah, they're like less of those dudes. They have some honor and like honor, courage, and commitment.
Yeah.
Like no, we're all slime balls here.
And pull them to the side.
Yeah, fire that dude.
Yeah.
So fucked. Like.
Yeah, it's just like it's unbelievable how these scumbags get away with, and they're like, if somebody like me or you did it, God, we'd be like locked up, boom, like no questions.
And yet, taxpayers are paying for their like court settling fees and stuff. It's so
that
crazy.
was a mind blower when I
Dude,
found
like,
that out.
Oh,
it was
we're
just
paying
like,
for you to be
and
a
then
slime
meanwhile,
ball.
you're like, you can't afford like give veterans more money,
Yeah,
and you got a slime
or
ball
access
fund.
to growing their own medication.
Yeah, or give us like this cannabis you're growing in where is it? Mississippi, wherever they're growing it at.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's like, come on.
dude.
It's upside down. So all we can do is hope for the best and get people
All we
out
can-
of there. And
All we
just
can do is
in
start
there.
taking care of each
Yeah,
other because they're not
exactly.
doing it.
They're not at all.
We can't wait on this, the swamp to be replaced and
No,
like
that's going to take a
legislation.
long time.
And they're already blocking it. It's not. I mean.
Yeah, they're blocking it because they know.
And so we got to find other ways. we still need more generous people to realize that we need,
Access.
we need access, and but we also just got to take care of each other. We got to find these ways of building things that take care of each other.
Right, and find people in the community, not necessarily that are veterans, but maybe have a no veterans or have just money at their disposal that they can, do something.
Yeah. And some people are like, well, we don't ready to like ask for money from people and everything, but ultimately, it's there are generous people that want to take an interest in veterans, and like, why not allow them to do that?
Right.
And help shine light on programs that are beneficial, that are actually connecting them with networks and stuff like that,
Yeah, and that's like the Connector Warriors program. Great program.
Yeah.
Been around for like 5 years now.
Yeah.
With the free yoga for the vets and families. I mean, what a great organization to like put money towards, nonprofit. I mean, free yoga for vets and families. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
What a great concept.
Yeah.
Lot of healing too.
That's
of
huge.
healing.
Yeah.
Within that whole military family community.
Yeah.
It's like I wish we had that like 10 years ago.
Right.
Or even way before that. Might have been able to deal with some things a little better.
Yeah. There's also a big stigma on like not talking about things and just dealing it.
Oh God.
All yourself.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like,
yeah.
The
non-acceptance, like you don't want to
yeah.
accept your injuries, you don't want to accept whatever, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I realized, for a while is like nobody's really talking about anything. It's like people start talking, start getting some information out there, and then people start actually making some sort of change.
Yeah. But I guess people don't talk about their stuff a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, and maybe it's a vulnerability issue. Maybe they want to like, feel secure and stuff like that. Or there's any number of reasons, or there's a stigma like, well, I just need to shut up and take this, while they're living a miserable life, like,
right.
In pain and depressed, and then they end up like, maybe killing themselves or something. I don't know. All I know is if you allow yourself, you don't have to talk to everybody. There's people that aren't going to understand what you're talking about. It's important for those of us who do feel the conviction to take care of each other to get out there and maybe talk more, like not just with people you can connect with, right, or who have maybe even been through similar experiences.
Right.
There's so much information to be shared there. Right?
Sure, absolutely.
So you don't have to just tell everybody at the bar you go to, or in a big group setting. Just find somebody that shares some interest with you, like interest, and just allow yourself to be vulnerable with them.
Yeah, and open up. Yeah.
And then some of us, once and find healing in that. And then those of us that feel a little more convicted, if you feel like, man, I found healing from this, somebody else could benefit if they just knew this helped.
Right. And that's it. You
like,
just gotta give it a shot.
So I'm to that point where I'm like, I'm going to talk about this.
Right.
I'm going to talk about the migraines and seizures I'm having. And
how about this part that we were
like,
talking about? Like, going to the VA. So the neurologists and stuff. So they're like, they toss you between TBI and PTSD.
Yeah. They just keep you in limbo.
It says, oh yeah, it shows the same symptoms.
Yeah. What did that neurologist tell you?
He goes, he's like, he's showing both symptoms. He goes, you have this.
Based off the basic MRI.
Yeah, based on nothing wrong with MRI.
Yeah, of course you tell me.
Yeah, and then they give you a bunch of pills, and they're like,
hold on.
Exactly. And then the fact that they don't have a spine doctor, mind blower too. Like, come on, these guys got a slush fund for their sexual abuses and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, just like, come on.
Or doctors getting paid after they've had known just bad surgeries where they would get like fired and sued.
Yeah.
Out in the civilian
world.
world.
Like in the 1800s, they just like storm like the Capitol and start dragging their representatives out down this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, tarred and feather 'em.
Yeah, like they did that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Savage back then. Just like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like quick
Now
justice.
people Twitter and shit. They're like,
Yeah, like
fuck you.
yeah, the Autobot, the AI twittering out your thoughts.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
We're basically like little flesh roller skates or rollerblades. And we're like, if you could roll up a bunch of humans, and we're like the thing that like cause a rollerblade of robotics to like exist. That's basically what the AI is, and us. Like we're merging with machines, and it's just like controlling us.
Oh yeah, they try to do it to us, but that's
we were talking about that last night.
Yeah, the AI stuff. Yeah,
how I'm basically gonna be, what is it, Sean Connor and what is it, Terminator? The human that rises up.
Human man beats all the robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm training for that right now.
Yeah.
So it's going to take a lot of us.
Yeah, for sure. But you know, it's just, we got to just like keep communicating with the, you know, within our community, and like,
and break away from the phone.
Yeah. Break away from all that. Like
use it as a tool.
Yeah. Use
it as a tool to, you know, be productive while you're driving.
Well, they use it as a tool. So like, you know,
throw on the Dangerzone podcast while you're sitting in an airplane.
Yeah. Or driving or whatever. Yeah.
Or driving, you know, and be hearing some of this positive information about healing, and, you know, or throw on somebody else's podcast, or learn something, you know.
It's great. I love how you know, how we are in the future right now. Like we're in the present with this futurist, you know, all this technology we have is just so cool. Like, you know, often worried about like humans being able to communicate, or communicating less within being locked into the box and the computers and the phones.
Yeah.
But I think with like these podcasts and things like that, it's still like a cool tool to use to communicate whatever message you want to get across.
Great way to connect with other humans.
Yes.
Through technology.
Yeah.
And not continue to become more distant.
Yeah.
Talking about real stuff. A lot of podcasts out there that are talking about like real issues. Some of them stay kind of subsurface, you know?
Right.
Just like, oh, so you're a bearded Lotus? Like, oh, you're a CB? Cool. All right, were you born and raised? What's your favorite color?
Yeah.
Like, no, we're talking about real shit.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like, who cares about that? So let's talk about real stuff.
Yeah,
like,
let's talk about what's really going
life,
on.
Yeah,
you know,
what's going on right now.
And dude, technology has afforded us a great opportunity to do that with many people. I found you on social. We found each other on social media.
Through the kind of military community.
Like we never met, and it turns out we know the same people.
Same people, serve with the same guys.
Dude, and we're finding out all this stuff we can do to help each other, help other veterans, like learning stuff from each other. So if it wasn't for technology,
we'd be still locked away somewhere. Yeah.
But so use it as a tool, but also just put it down. Like get out in nature.
And that's where that adventure side comes in. That's when our therapy comes in. Like, you know, it's cool to like do these podcasts and technology and stuff like that, but it's also like, you know, like being out just away from everything, off the grid.
Yeah.
You know, and being out there in a hunt or fishing or
like
surfing
we're talking about doing like not only are we connecting on the podcast, we're having a really good conversation.
Yeah.
But we're looking to go out and surf, go fishing, go hunting,
go diving,
go diving with sharks
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff I think that we need to continue to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that, you know, because we're adventurous guys. That's what we like to do.
Yeah.
You know, we want to challenge ourselves and create those memories, those moments. And there's a lot of like human bonding that goes on, you know?
Yeah.
When you're going through this, like going through your adventures, it's just cool. Gets back to the Neanderthal man.
Yeah. The adventurous Viking.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's people can benefit greatly from like stepping outside of their box and adventuring.
People need to get out in nature too, because they're like locked in.
Yeah,
I mean, like, come on.
Do that. If you're listening to this and you're like, man, there's that one adventure I've been wanting to do. It's been I've been waiting for so long. I keep on looking at pictures of this place. It looks awesome. I want to go there and do this or that. Or I want to fall out of a plane. I want to know what it's like to be like an eagle soaring through the sky. just do it,
Yeah.
man.
Get
Like,
on a
get
hang
out
ladder,
there,
jump.
put it on the calendar.
Yeah.
Buy the plane tickets now. Don't think
Exactly.
about it. Sometimes you just gotta say fuck it and do it.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit irresponsible.
Was you were
but
talking about that one podcast about the one guy he had like really promoting travel and
Yeah.
getting out there.
Yeah, Alex Jones. He's from
Yeah.
Russia.
Yeah.
U.S. citizen now. He was a Marine Raider. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome dude. Yeah,
He's just like, push it, just go wherever you
Yeah,
want.
he's
He's like,
like-
go wherever you want to
the
go.
way he does it is he's like, oh man, I'm kind of scared to go there. And then he's like, okay, well, you just said that, so now you got to go.
Now you just cursed
Now you're
yourself.
just
You
locked
gotta
in.
go.
We need more
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
Do those things that you know you want to do, but you're
Yeah.
scared to.
Yeah.
Just do it, man.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be so rewarding. That's the thing about it. It's taking that step, taking that leap. Is you don't know how awesome it's going to be on the other side, but
Yeah.
it is. It's so awesome.
It's awesome. And he was like a great man's man inspiration was our one of our mentor heroes, Hemingway. You know,
Yeah.
Hemingway was just such like the
Dude.
man's man. You know,
Yeah,
he really
dude.
was like
Yeah.
a man's man. You know,
I was raised to be
Yeah.
a man's man, and I think a lot of it was in my DNA.
right? Just comes
Yeah.
naturally.
Like these other Marines that were on my sailing boat, they're wearing gloves to do all
Right.
the lines and everything because they didn't want their hands. You know, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna use my hands. Like I want to
Yeah.
grip these ropes,
Yeah.
and
Want
if
to feel those?
if my
ropes,
hands
yeah.
open up and start bleeding, like
Yeah.
that's just part of it.
Yeah,
And,
it's part of the deal. Yeah.
But yeah, Hemingway, man, he traveled all over the place. He had tons of women. He had adventure,
The
going
hunts,
to
all the hunts,
bullfighting.
Bullfighting.
He decided to go just hop into a war and get
Yeah, he couldn't get in on the U.S. side, so
Yeah.
he just like went over to Europe, I think Italy, and just volunteered.
Yeah, got blown out of the side of a motorcycle sidecar from a tank round.
So we were talking about the TBI
Yeah,
possibility
dude.
with him.
He definitely had concussions. Not only from that blast wave, but he was in like Paris or something in this sunlight back then. You know, they're huge glass
Yeah,
panes.
skylights. Yeah,
The whole thing like fell down in on him and hit him while he's going to the bathroom. He's fucked up too, but like hit his head, gashed his head open really bad, and I think pictures of him older, you can actually see like a scar on his head,
right.
and that's what it's from. And then he had 2 plane crashes in Africa.
Wow,
He survived both of them.
gnarly.
And just think about the planes back then.
Oh,
Like,
God.
dude, it
Like
was
just metal and paper.
just landing in
Yeah.
Africa somewhere. Like that's
Yeah.
not.
Hopefully, you can find your
That's
rifle.
not just like a gliding. Like they
Yeah.
were like traumatic. The plane like folded up on itself, you know, and like
yeah,
he's like, "Oh shit, that's fucked." You
Yeah.
know, like go hit the bottle or whatever. They've attributed Hemingway's suicide to alcohol abuse, and it's like the dude was a partier. He like drank all his life.
Yeah.
You know, people that do that, they don't all of a sudden be like, "Man, I hate partying."
right.
Like, I'm gonna kill myself, you know, or
Right.
whatever. Like, he was fine with drinking. That wasn't the issue. They gave him some of that electro brain stimulation shit where they
shock
shocked
therapy,
his
huh?
shocked his brain,
Jeez,
and it changed the chemistry in his brain
I'm sure.
and gave him some drugs, and he killed himself a week later.
Unbelievable.
And the symptoms he was having were all like concussion symptoms, like leading up to it.
Wow.
So, and somebody advised him to like get that. So this great man, dude, man's man,
Yeah.
awesome author. I love the way he writes, man.
Gosh, one of the
So,
great,
like,
one of the great,
Such good
great writers of
descriptions,
modern
and
time. You know,
the ability to like simply describe something with such like romantic feeling, like you know, you get it so quickly. Like he just like the way he writes is amazing,
yeah, you picture it when you
and
read
he's
it.
gone like that.
Yeah.
Because you know, trying some kind of experimental
New
stuff
therapy or something.
that didn't match what was going on, which is what we're currently doing.
Wow.
We're giving veterans with brain injuries, with concussions, all these psychoactive drugs, all these drugs for mental disorders.
Right.
And that's not what was happening. It's a very physical thing that's happening. And it's changing their brain chemistry, dude, and they're just offing themselves
Yeah.
like all the time.
Yeah, it's horrible. Really is.
Yeah.
And that's, we're coming full circle again. That's what when the self, I call it self-help.
Yeah.
That's when you like go and do your yoga. That's when you seek alternative medicine like your cannabis, CBDs, whatever.
And some people will probably like argue like, oh, are you trying to say like nobody benefits from taking like antidepressants or whatever? And it's like, dude, all right, listen, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm talking about people with blast wave concussions. I'm talking, or just concussions.
Concussions in general. Yeah.
There's proven science that it causes scar tissue between the white and gray matter in your brain. Your brain is not the same. It's physically damaged. And it doesn't have the same resiliency it does to, I don't know, handle the little thing that causes the depression and, or not the depression, the suicidal tendencies side effect that is labeled on most antidepressant drugs. Like, your brain doesn't have the same capability of somebody who maybe came to a mental disorder, sort of more like in a natural way in their life. Their brain chemistry is just jacked up. And yes, a drug you put in there can help balance out their brain chemistry. The problem is with the concussion brain, it doesn't have that same resiliency. So if you've had concussions, I highly suggest, unless it's a life-saving drug like a blood thinner or something, like that. And obviously, don't take medical advice from me at your own risk. Disclaimer, I was a medical provider, but I'm not acting as that right now. So don't think this is a prescription. But, I hope that covers me legally.
Yeah, sure.
But dude, get off anything that's not life-saving, like, or, that you need to like keep you alive.
Right.
And focus on getting assessed for the brain damage.
Sure.
If you have a history of concussions, you need to get checked out for that. Then once you've done that, and let's say, you clear your head of all those drugs, and we start working on a good medicine plan to get, your brain healed again, start researching stem cell therapy, all that stuff, it's use of CBD, like there's a lot of promising stuff that are even CBD is helping heal concussed brains.
Sure.
And CTE, like from the football players and all that stuff, they're already finding that like cannabis is a huge component in healing the brain. So get off the prescriptions. Give yourself a chance to fully assess what's happening in your brain.
Right.
Then if you're still having like mental disorders, you still feel depressed, like down the road after you've worked on fixing the physical damage, then maybe like start reaching out to some, maybe start taking on another mental health drug or something. You know what I mean?
Right. That's just a process. It's like, what's worse? Is it worse the scripts, or is it worse like whatever you happen to go through? You know what I mean? That's why you like see all these commercials on TV. Take this, blah, and make, you might bleed out of your eyeballs and ears and have a stroke and all that, but it may help you. You know what I mean? Like, what do you even take it for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There are some pretty crazy side effects for cannabis, right? Though I mean, it like kills you if you overdose on it, right?
Yeah, you just go to sleep, have a good night's rest, wake up the next morning. Yeah, that's it.
Wow. Yeah, might eat too much or something.
Yeah, you might have a case of the like munchies and just like eat a bunch of food and then go to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible.
And decrease in anxiety.
Yeah, you just wake up the next morning like the best sleep ever. Yeah.
Jeez.
No nightmares.
Sounds terrible, dude.
Yeah. It's just horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the message, man.
Dude, well, it's been really good to have you on here. I got to take a piss, so we can either like pause or I don't know, do you feel like we could wrap this one up or?
Yeah, I mean, we've probably been doing this for a little while now.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know, how long we've been doing it.
Let me see. Hold on.
Let's see.
Hour and 40 minutes.
Whoa. All right.
Yeah.
Well, should probably wrap it up then.
That's good, dude. I mean, I've had a blast. I think we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we do some more in the future too, dude.
Oh yeah, I can't wait to do some more collaboration.
Yeah,
it's gonna be epic.
Because we got some good things coming, man. And I think
it's like more heads, more brains.
Yeah.
More people like minds wanting to create and do things.
Cool.
And that's what it's all about. Just stay within the community.
Well, dude, yeah. To remind people again where they can find.
You can find me on Instagram, Bearded Lotus, and beardedlotus.com.
Oh, and
or .org. I'm sorry.
if you want to, if you want to try yoga with some badass dudes, some dudes that are savage but also chill as fuck, go to my YouTube page if you're not already watching this. And we did a yoga session right before this, a nice short one that you'll be able to follow along with, so you don't have to go. If you're afraid of hot girls, then you can stay home. And
we got it wrapped up in a nice little yoga session, like, and just do it at home.
Yeah. So, anyways, dude, thanks for joining me on this.
Hey, man,
I had a blast.
I had a great blast too, man. Daniel the Barbarian's just killing it right now.
Trying to.
All right, brother.
All right, dude.
Peace out.